Welcome. Today, we examine a high-stakes diplomatic negotiation set in the United Nations Committee. The focus, a draft resolution reaffirming the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea as a sole legal framework for resolving maritime disputes, particularly in the volatile South China Sea region. The key parties involved include Indonesia and the Philippines, both coastal states with vast interest in regional stability and the rule of law. The central issue at stake is not just support for UNCLOS, but its impartial implementation, specifically the critical interpretation of the Article 121, which distinguishes between islands entitled to full maritime zones and mere rocks. This negotiation highlights the tension between legal principles and historical claim, where the very definition of sovereignty and maritime right are on the line.
Distinguished delegates, we are entering the final session in this discussion of this draft resolution. This draft emphasizes the ratification and implementation of the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea as the sole legal framework for resolving maritime disputes. We will begin with a brief debate session. Are there any delegates who would like to raise a point of clarification regarding the details of UNCLOS implementation in South China Sea?
Yes, Your Excellency. The Indonesian delegation, as a country with a strong interest in the stability of this water, would like to clarify one crucial point. The resolution supports UNCLOS, but the core issues in the South China Sea often revolve around the interpretation of Article 121 of UNCLOS. This article regulates the difference between islands, rocks, and features that are not entitled to an exclusive economic zone. The question is, how does this resolution ensure that all parties, including those with overlapping claims, apply the legal maritime definitions and rights in accordance with Article 121 and do not use historical claims that are not supported by clause?
Thank you for insightful question, Delegation of Indonesia. Delegation of the Philippines, do you have any response to the point regarding the implementation of Article 121?
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency the Chair, and thank you to the Indonesian delegation for this very important question. The Philippine delegation fully agrees that the impartial implementation of Article 121 is vital. We emphasize that this resolution must serve as an affirmation that only geographical features legally recognized by UNCLOS can generate full maritime rights, such as EEZ and continental shelf. As confirmed by the international arbitration, the principle that the rule of law must prevail over claims of power and compliance with Article 121 is key to rejecting claims based on concepts that have been invalidated by international law. We support resolutions that emphasize this.
Thank you for clarification. Delegation of Indonesia and the Philippines. The chair notes that the essence of this resolution is the reaffirmation of the supremacy of UNCLOS as the whole as the framework for dispute settlement, including compliance with all its articles. With the conclusion of this debate, we will proceed the final statement prior to adoption. I invite the representative of Indonesia to deliver a brief final statement before the vote.
Thank you, Your Excellency Chair. Distinguished delegates, Indonesia, as the world's largest economic state and a steadfast party to the UNCLOS, believes that the reaffirmation of this resolution is not merely timely, it is urgent. UNCLOS is thus not just a legal instrument for us, it is the indispensable pillar of peace, order, and sustainability prosperity across the ocean. In the face of escalating tensions, particularly in the South China Sea, where overlapping claims, militarization, and resource competition threaten regional stability, we call on all parties to unequivocally respect the sovereignty and sovereign rights of coastal states. Consistent good faith implementation of UNCLOS remains the only viable path forward. It prevents conflict, fosters maritime cooperation on shared challenges like climate change and illegal fishing, and builds trust among nations. Indonesia pledged its full support for the adoption of this resolution and urged all member states to join us in this commitment, translating words into binding action for a rule-based maritime order. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesian delegates. Next, I invite the Philippines delegation.
Thank you, Your Excellent Chair, and thank you for the delegate of Indonesia for the statement. The Philippines also emphasizes its full support for this resolution and more importantly, for the authority of UNCLOS. The South China Sea, or what we call the West Philippine Sea, is an integral part of our sovereignty. The adoption of this resolution sends a clear message that the rule of law, not power, should govern the seas. We urge all members to ratify and comply with the principles of enshrined in UNCLOS for the protection of the maritime rights of the coastal states. We support this resolution.
Thank you, Delegation of Philippines. We have heard strong views on the supremacy of UNCLOS. Now, the Chair calls for a vote of this draft resolution. Are there any objection to proceeding with the adoption process by consensus, given the importance of the unity of this issue?
The delegates of Philippines would like to state that there are no objections to proceeding with this adoption of process by consensus.
The Indonesian delegation has no objection in proceeding with the adoption process by consensus.
All right, with no objection, the draft resolution of this ratification and strengthening of the implementation of UNCLOS in the Southeast Asia region is approved by consensus. Congratulations to the committee. The session is adjourned.
Conclusion: this negotiation underscored a fundamental lesson in international diplomacy: the power of a legal framework to de-escalate conflict and build consensus. By rallying around UNCLOS, the delegations moved beyond adversarial claims and anchored their discussion in shared rules. The key takeaway is that successful multilateral negotiations often depend on mutual commitment to an agreed-upon system, even when interpretations differ. The resolution's unanimous adoption shows that when states emphasize precedent and the rule of the law over power politics, even contentious issues can find a diplomatic path forward. In a world of overlapping claims and rising tension, this case reminds us that clarity, consistency, and cooperation under international law remain indispensable tools for